Obviously, the theme is what makes America great. I have never seen a Pledge of Allegiance that was so spectacular. If we need an image that demonstrates what makes America great, we saw that during our Pledge of Allegiance. We all know what socialism is. Socialism is an ideology that robs people of everything they have. Their ideas, their political power, their economic freedom, even their dignity. But what do we stand for? We stand for the person. We stand for the proposition that all people are deserving of equal dignity and respect and entitled to their God-given rights. That's why our founding documents say that we are to be guaranteed life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We're going to hear from three different individuals who are going to explain the flip side of the pursuit of happiness. I just want to explain this to you briefly. We all think of pursuit of happiness as using all of our gifts and talents to live life to the fullest, and that is true. But we each have a responsibility to each other, because as I improve my life, I improve society. These three individuals that we're going to hear from today used to have a belief system that was wrong. They were moving in the wrong direction. And each one of them had the courage to reevaluate their convictions and to make a change. And because they made those changes in their lives, we are all better for it. I want to introduce first Abby Johnson, a former director of Planned Parenthood. Abby.
Good morning. I want to thank you all for coming just for this. It is so good to be here with all of you this morning. My name is Abby Johnson. I am a former Planned Parenthood abortion clinic director. I worked for Planned Parenthood for 8 years of my life. I left in the fall of 2009 after several things. One, being told that I was now going to be required to double our abortion quota, a certain number of abortions that we had to sell to women coming into our facilities. But I ultimately left after witnessing a live ultrasound-guided abortion procedure on a 13-week-old unborn child. And I saw this 13-week-old child fight and struggle for his life against the abortion instruments, only to lose his life. You know, it's hard for me to describe in words what I saw on that screen. But there is one word I can sort of sum up what I saw, and that is frantic. That 13-week-old baby, that first trimester baby, was frantically trying to save his life. There's been a lot of talk, of course, in the news recently about late-term abortion. Of course, late-term abortion is terrible. But let me be clear, we are all God's children from the moment of conception. Depriving a child of the right to life at 26 weeks is just as heinous as depriving a child of the right to life at 6 weeks, at 8 weeks. There was a time in society when I think we were sort of ignorant to what an unborn child actually was. There was a time when people said, well, it's just a clump of cells, it's just a mass of tissue. That's what people really believed many years ago. That was the ignorance that caused us to pass Roe v. Wade and Doe v. Bolton. But now we know, we have medical science advancements that tell us that inside the womb is a unique human being with unrepeatable DNA, that has a beating heart, that has brain waves, that feels pain. Yet we have sunk to a new low, a new level of depravity in our society when we are willing to look at that unborn human being and still say, I know it's alive, I know it's a baby, I know it has a beating heart, I know it has unrepeatable DNA, yet I am still willing to kill it. And that is one of the primary platforms of the Democratic Party. And I'm saying that as a former member of the Democratic Party. Guys, we have a problem in our country. And we can talk about many, many other issues that plague our society. And people come to me and say, Abby, what about the economy? Well, let's talk about the economy. I bet we wouldn't constantly be in the state of economic crisis that we are in if we hadn't aborted 61 million taxpayers. Abortion affects all of us. You may think, well, not me, because I've never had an abortion. No, it does affect you, because guess what? Every single person in this room is contributing to abortion through your tax dollars. Planned Parenthood is receiving more than $500 million every single year in your tax money. So the question then becomes, what do we do about it? Lots of good ideas, right? Everybody's got an idea. Yes! Let's build a wall around Planned Parenthood clinics. I can support all kinds of walls. Let's really start thinking out of the box here. Listen, our job in this pro-life movement is not simply to make abortion illegal. Is that a goal of ours? Absolutely. But we will not be able to simply legislate abortion away. Our goal must be to make abortion unthinkable. And how will that happen? How will that happen? It's going to happen through all of you. It's going to happen through conversion of heart. The same thing that happened to me. But it's going to take all of you being bold in your stance on abortion. I have a film coming out March 29th called Unplanned. It's going to be in theaters everywhere. And it's going to really expose the abortion industry and the systemic abuse of abortion in our country. And people have said to me, oh, but Abby, it's just going to be Christians who go and watch your film. And my answer to that is fantastic. Because if 50% of people who call themselves Christians and conservatives and checked a box on a form that said they were pro-life were actually doing something to end abortion, we would have already seen victory. This is not just some issue for conservatives to be concerned about. Friends, this is a primary issue for us to be concerned about. People are dying every single day. 3,000 of our unborn brothers and sisters are dying. They are being torn apart in their mother's wombs in the name of choice. Where is their choice? Now is the time for us to activate to assemble so that we can see victory in the face of this barbarism. It's time to do something to end abortion. Thank you all so much, and God bless you.
Please welcome, with Turning Point USA, Brandon Tatum.
Good morning, everybody. Give yourselves a round of applause for waking up this early. So I'm gonna try to be as brief as I can and tell my story in about 7 minutes. So I was born and raised in Fort Worth, Texas. I came from a broken home. Yeah, y'all can give Texas a round of applause. I came from a broken home. Mom and dad were split up. My grandmother had my mother when she was 12 years old. I got arrested at 8 years old for smoking marijuana. So I had a really hard fight as a young man. And my parents and my family fought for everything that they have today to make sure I was successful. I went to an all-black high school. The school had its ups and downs. There was plenty of times where people were doing drugs and selling drugs at school, fights and pulling guns on each other. But the school offered me an opportunity to play football. In high school, I became an All-American football player, and it really revolutionized my life because it gave me an opportunity to change environments. Growing up in an all-black community, it was different. I was raised that I was a Democrat, to think one way. I was raised that white people didn't really like us, and that there was a huge conflict. And God gave me the opportunity to go to college. And at the University of Arizona, I saw that there was something different. That people didn't have the animosity that was told to me growing up. And while I was in college, another wonderful thing happened to me because football wasn't working out. That was my dream, my passion. It wasn't working out. And I had to make a decision. I had to decide, and in my mind, I was going to rule out God. And so I had to make a decision, was God real? I went to church. God had given me visions and dreams, and I ended up getting saved. I was baptized, and I was filled with God's Spirit. And I believe that that was God's way of further delivering me and putting me on the proper path. Because now, I didn't see people as black and white and wherever background you came from. I saw every single person that I dealt with as God's children. And that's very important. And so again, football wasn't working out. I was in the 2010 NFL draft. I did not get drafted. I was heartbroken. But I believe God had a mission for me. I had to get a job. I had a young son at the time. I applied for everything in the city of Tucson. Anybody from Tucson, Arizona in here? We got some Arizonans in here. So I applied for everything in the city of Tucson, and surprisingly enough, the police department called me back. I would never forget that phone call. I had argued with a friend the night before, and then I answered the phone, and they say, it's the Tucson Police Department. And I'm like, hey, I'm gonna take me to jail? But it was an opportunity, and I said yes. For the first time in my life, I saw a hero. And Sean Payne, I did a ride-along with Sean Payne because I had to figure out what am I going to do now that I have an opportunity to be a police officer. I fell in love with the job. I saw how courageous that officer was. I saw how he served his community day in and day out, and I said to myself, I have to be a part of that. And while I was a police officer, I was still a Democrat. All of my friends, probably every police officer that I worked with, would question me on a day-to-day basis. I don't understand, Brandon, why are you a Democrat? Why do you support the Democratic Party when you're a Christian? And all of your values seem to be contradictory to what the Democrats are offering. And I used to always tell them, nah, don't worry about it, I still like them. I don't agree with everything, but I'm a Democrat. Because that's how I was raised. But slowly but surely, thank you to Mr. Barack Obama, he revealed the true colors of the Democratic Party. And I saw him methodically go through and talk trash, negative rhetoric against law enforcement in America. And I saw, as a police officer, people challenge us, try to hurt us, and destroy our reputation because of what Barack Obama did. And I made up in my mind, that I would never support anybody who does not have the respect for the men and women who serve this country. And so I decided that I had to give myself an opportunity as a fair, grown man to look on the other side. I decided to look on the Republican Party side. And I love Ben Carson. Anybody a Ben Carson fan? I hope Ben Carson is not listening to me today. He may be mad at what I'm about to say, but Ben Carson just didn't have juice. And I was hoping he was going to get it together and be victorious, but he dropped out and he endorsed President Trump. And I was shocked. I thought President Trump was playing around. Big time boss, billionaire. He was going to show these politicians that they're worth nothing, and then he's going to walk away. But he didn't. He hung in there. I went to a Trump rally in Tucson, Arizona, and it blew my mind. And for those of you who know who I am, I made a video about it, and it went viral. And from that point on, I saw what the media did. I saw how these liberal protesters were acting foolish and crazy. And I said, for the rest of my life, I'm going to decide today that I will honor this country and I will serve the principles of God and what I think this country should be. And I feel like that Donald Trump is the person, is the leader that's going to take this country back to its original state of success, prosperity, and love and unity. We're built to fight. We've always been warriors. We win wars. And I'll tell you this, I want everybody in here to remember this. No matter what happened, God has a setup that in the end of all of this, we will win. In the end, we will win. God bless you and thank you.
Please welcome founder of #WalkAway, Brandon Straka.
Good morning, Patriots. Good morning, Rebels. Did you ever dream that you'd see the day that it would be an act of rebellion because you want to make America great again? Because you want to keep America great? You know what's amazing right now is God is picking rebels and putting them in positions of power right now. We have the greatest rebel in the world running this country right now. I think since the day I could talk, I've always been a rebel. From as far back as I can remember, I've always felt a great compulsion to defend the underdog, to befriend the outcasts, to not worry if I had too much about the need to fit in. I didn't know then how these qualities would end up one day informing my decision to start what has now become a cultural and political phenomenon. Behind every great rebel is a mind that sees the world not just for what it is, but for what it could and should be. to never accept the status quo. Certainly not because it's the easy thing to do. It's the driving passion for change that tells the rebel to disrupt the establishment and to never, ever take no for an answer. It is the need to always be true to one's core values and oneself, to always think independently. Growing up gay in the 80s and 90s in a Catholic Nebraska farm community, being an independent thinker wasn't even really a choice. I was just one lonely, outspoken advocate for the gay community, and I suffered the repercussions of being that weird guy as a result. After high school, I ran as fast as I could to New York, and I quickly fell in with a very liberal crowd. I mean, after all, these were gay people in New York City, so it was kind of like shooting liberal fish in a Democrat barrel. But the collective consciousness of the LGBT community, and any other minority community in America for that matter, of any kind, is never so apparent as it is in the world of politics. You must be a liberal. You must be a Democrat. There is no tolerance for independent thought. With liberals, support for political issues within identity groups get traded like commodities on the New York Mercantile Exchange. Victimhood is one's greatest asset. And with the left's invention of intersectionality, it is a veritable buyer's market of oppression. Essentially, the way that this works is you band together with anybody who isn't a straight white man, and then you all enter into a never-ending pissing contest about who has it worse. Try being a woman. Well, try being black. Well, try being a trans black lesbian in a wheelchair with type 2 diabetes. Now listen, none of this is to say that oppression itself is a fallacious concept. Our country has a dark and sordid past in its treatment of black people, immigrants, women, and gays. But to me, the goal has always been to fight for freedom and equality. And in 2015, when the Supreme Court decided that marriage equality was the law of the land for all Americans, okay? I felt that the gay community had crossed a final hurdle in our quest for equal rights. This, to me, seemed like a triumphant moment of celebration. But what happened next left me completely confused. I started getting attacked within my own community. The next thing I knew, I was regularly enduring attacks for now being a privileged gay man by people who were referring to themselves as non-binary, gender fluid, gender queer, two-spirit, demi-boys and demi-girls, and they attained their own coveted letters in the LGBTQ++IA whatever acronym. And suddenly, these folks were headlining the Victimhood Variety Show. I already had people of color and their guilted white liberal allies telling me with great resentment that my white privilege afforded me the keys to the golden gates of humanity, which meant that I constantly owed something to somebody to help equalize the unfairness of existence of people like me. None of this was making any sense to me whatsoever. In 2016, I voted for Hillary Clinton. You know, normally people have bad dreams about standing on stage and getting booed. It's literally my favorite part. When I do a speech, that's my favorite part. I love it. Can we do it one more time for good measure? God, that feels good. I, like all liberals, have turned over my complete trust to the liberal media. I believed that they had my best interest at heart and the best interest of their target audience, the victim classes, black people, brown people, LGBT people. But that's what I was, a target. They told me that Donald Trump was a racist, a bigot, a homophobe, a monster, and that his followers were no better. And I believed every word of it. After spending months crying, ranting, and all but screaming at the sky about Donald Trump being elected president, I had an exchange on Facebook which completely reversed the trajectory of my life. I boldly declared that I would never be able to understand how the American people could vote for a man who, among so many other things, stood before a cheering crowd and mocked a reporter's disability. And in a moment that for me rivaled the visitation of Mary by the angel Gabriel, a woman named Diane reached out to me privately with a video entitled, "Debunking that Trump Mocked the Disabled Reporter." This was a compilation of footage that showed clearly and compellingly how the liberal media had isolated this moment and spun a false narrative around it, appealing to the fear, panic, and prejudices of their target audience. I couldn't understand what I was seeing. I mean, CNN had never lied to me before. Why did they start lying on that day? This sent me on a journey of research throughout most of 2017, and I began to finally understand the root causes and illogical fallacy of liberal ideology. Why political correctness, identity politics, the victim narrative, and the rage of the left felt so wrong to me. The more I learned, the more I wanted to know. As I began having conversations with fellow liberals about my discoveries, I was met with a wall of hostility and contempt. This is when I began being shunned, unfriended, lied about, and attacked. The party of tolerance was anything but for my newfound expression of independent thought. And so, in May of 2018, I said, to hell with it, and I decided to fight back. So I shot a 6-minute video, what I call the definitive manifesto of everything that's wrong with liberalism and the Democratic Party. I released the video on social media declaring once and for all that I was walking away from the cult of liberalism and the party of division and hate, the Democratic Party, and I started the Walk Away campaign. Who were feeling the way I was feeling to also make their testimonial videos about why they too were walking away from the left. I told the silent majority that it was time to become unsilent, and that those on the right must also make their testimonials to take back the narrative of what it truly means to be a conservative in America. And the campaign exploded. Within 3 months, we had thousands of written and video testimonials. I worked night and day to promote the campaign, doing anywhere from 5 to 12 interviews every single day on television, on radio, and online. At this point, the liberal media could no longer ignore the growing Democratic Party refugee militia of walkaway. And so they did what they do best. They started lying. The report spread like wildfire across CNN, MSNBC, the Huffington Post, and the New York Times and Company about a new Russian propaganda campaign started by Vladimir Putin and supported by Russian bots that was aiming to damage the Democratic Party. All right, said the independent thinker in me, it's time to get creative. If the liberal media wants to once again dismiss the voices and the existence of real everyday Americans, as they have now for so many years, then I will turn this attack into an opportunity to win. And so, yeah, they picked the wrong guy. And so, I announced the Walkaway March on Washington. Set 10 days before the midterm elections, the march in DC brought thousands of patriots from across the country to stand in solidarity against the party that had driven us all away. Hardworking Americans donated $20, $30 at a time over weeks until we raised over $250,000 for the event.
Right, good job.
It was the most spectacular event that went almost completely unreported in 2018, except by another great American rebel. The morning of our march, President Donald J. Trump tweeted his admiration for the Walkaway campaign and congratulated me personally for starting something that he called very special. made myself cry. The Walkaway campaign has now garnered more than 400,000 patriots.
All right, all right.
We have built a formidable community, which is a true representation of American diversity. We are black people, brown people, white people, gay people, straight people of all backgrounds and beliefs. I'm often asked, where are you walking to? And to this, I always reply, Walkaway is a journey, not a destination. It is not up to me or anybody else to tell another person where to go or what to believe. Only that it's time to walk away from the lies, the hate, the violence, vandalism, and vitriol of the political left. And so now, the table has been set, and it's time for Walkaway to launch our strategic plan to stop the Democratic Party dead in its tracks before 2020. We now have the Walkaway Foundation, our educational nonprofit organization, which will be supporting our nationwide roadshow speaking tour, our college campus tours, our Walkaway video series dedicated to debunking liberal media lies and myths and addressing the issues that affect our society. We will continue to use creative mediums to communicate with and affect change in minority communities. It is time for all minorities in America to walk away. And we are going to connect with the youth of America, and we are going to shift the youth vote to the right.
All right, all right.
It is time now for every conservative American to be a rebel. Because the most rebellious thing one can do today is to stand up boldly and proudly and say, I am a proud and patriotic American, and I will not surrender my country to the party of hate. Join me and my growing movement. Together, we will all walk away from the Democratic Party. For more information about this campaign and how you can get involved, this is going to be fun. You can take out your phones and text the word walkaway to 51400. That's text walkaway to 51400. You're going to get a great message if you do that. And you can catch me tomorrow night as I am Mark Levin's guest on Life, Liberty, and Levin for the full hour at 10 p.m. Eastern on Fox News. I'm Brandon Straka. Thank you to Matt Schlapp, Daniel Schneider, and the entire CPAC team for this amazing opportunity and experience. And thank you all for this time together. Hashtag walk away!
WOW is a blockchain project which aims to design an ecosystem.
This is the Liberty Ecosystem, an agile, flexible federation of local organizations and international partners working together with blockchain technology.
Allowing the 6 billion of us to counterbalance the 2 billion of them.
Giving us access to fundraising from individuals and groups around the world who share our mission.
Making it more difficult for authoritarian governments to impede on local organizations like us. Because there is no centralized group, no single entity to stifle.
Together, we can keep the free world free. Join the movement at www.libertyeco.com.
Not too long ago, two friends of mine were talking to a Cuban refugee, a businessman who had escaped from Castro. And in the midst of his story, one of my friends turned to the other and said, "We don't know how lucky we are." And the Cuban stopped and said, "How lucky you are. I had some place to escape to." In that sentence, he told us the entire story. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape. This is the last stand on earth. And this idea that government is beholden to the people, that it has no other source of power except the sovereign people, is still the newest and the most unique idea in all the long history of man's relation to man.
The word education comes from a Latin word that means to lead forth. Forth is a value-laden term. It raises a question. Which way is forth?